In December 2022, Boeing finally ended production of the legendary 747 after more than half a century dominating the skies. While the world watched the end of an era, a bold and seemingly contradictory decision was being made at Lufthansa. The German giant announced a colossal investment of $2.1 billion to radically transform its Boeing 747-8 fleet, defying a global trend that seemed irreversible. At a time when energy efficiency and sustainability dictate the rules, Lufthansa chose a different path, betting that there's value where others see only unfavorable numbers. But behind this unusual decision lies a meticulously calculated strategy that could turn the game around for airlines worldwide.
If you're also passionate about the world of aviation, consider subscribing to the channel and supporting our team.
The story between Lufthansa and the jumbo jet didn't start yesterday. Since 1970, when the first Boeing 747s landed in German hangars, a partnership was built that transcended aircraft generations. For 54 uninterrupted years, the carrier operated every variant of the iconic quadjet, from the pioneering 747-100 and 200 through the revolutionary 400 series to the sophisticated 747-8 passenger and cargo aircraft. This lasting relationship wasn't accidental, it was strategic. Lufthansa accumulated incomparable technical knowledge, silently transforming itself into one of the world's greatest authorities on the Boeing 747. Every overhaul, every modification, every operational problem contributed to building expertise that today represents a competitive advantage impossible to replicate quickly. To understand the magnitude of the German bet, it's essential to map the global abandonment scenario that unfolded between 1919 and 2024. What we witnessed was an unprecedented mass migration. Giants like Air France ended 47 years of operation in 2022. British Airways brought forward their retirement by 4 years due to the pandemic, while icons like Thai Airways, KLM, and Qantas followed the same path. The numbers that justified these decisions are mathematically irrefutable. A Boeing 787-9 consumes approximately 20% less fuel per passenger compared to the 747-400, while the Airbus A350-900 achieves even superior efficiency, requiring only 0.63 gallons per 62 miles per passenger. Even the 747-8, representing the evolutionary apex of the family, still consumes about 0.82 gallons per 62 miles per passenger. Multiplying this difference by the millions of miles flown annually, airlines faced an apparently simple dilemma: efficiency or nostalgia. Most chose efficiency. Lufthansa, however, saw an opportunity. In 2019, in the offices of Lufthansa in Frankfurt, an idea was born that would become the most ambitious cabin modernization project in commercial aviation history. The chosen name Allegris derives from the Latin word joy, but represents much more. It's the materialization of a vision where luxury, technology, and experience converge to create something completely new. The Allegris program was officially revealed as a $2.6 billion investment, but its objectives transcended simple renovation. Lufthansa identified a critical gap in the market. While airlines chased efficiency, they completely neglected the differentiated experience that premium passengers were willing to pay for. The project finally came to life in May 2024, when the massive program began modernizing a large portion of Lufthansa's intercontinental fleet, including A350s, 747-8s, and Boeing 748. But the 747-8 received special treatment. It wouldn't just be modernized, it would be completely transformed. First-class suites with 8.2 feet in length and nearly 43 square feet, equipped with 32-inch screens and completely private beds protected by sliding partitions. Business class was completely reimagined, offering direct aisle access for all seats. The timeline is equally ambitious. Lufthansa expects to have 30 jets with Allegris cabins in service by the end of 2025, with plans to complete the reconfiguration by the end of 2027. But Allegris is just the tip of the iceberg of a much more sophisticated strategy that completely redefines how air operations can generate value. Before diving into specific data, it's fundamental to understand that modern aviation isn't just about fuel consumption. Factors like capacity, operational flexibility, comfort, and even brand perception directly influence a route's profitability. When we analyze the 747-8 against its direct competitors, a much more complex picture emerges than simple energy efficiency comparisons suggest.
Boeing 747-8i versus Airbus A350-900. Capacity 467 versus 350 passengers, plus 33%. Range 9,200 versus 9,320 miles, minus 1.3%. Consumption 0.82 versus 0.63 gallons per 62 miles pax, plus 30%. Speed Mach 0.855 versus Mach 0.85, plus 0.6%. Cargo volume 30,300 versus 15,500 cubic feet, plus 95%. Cabin width 20 versus 18 feet, plus 11%. Boeing 747-8i versus Boeing 777X. Capacity 467 versus 426, plus 10%. Range 9,200 versus 10,000 miles, minus 8%. Consumption 0.82 versus 0.69 gallons per 62 miles pax, plus 19%. Cabin width 20 versus 19.5 feet, plus 2.5%. Ideal configuration 343 versus 333, significantly more spacious. Cargo compartments superior versus limited. These numbers reveal that the 747-8i consciously sacrifices energy efficiency in favor of attributes that can be monetarily superior on specific routes: gross capacity, cargo volume, and cabin comfort. For this equation to work economically, Lufthansa needed a decisive operational advantage and found it in their own house. The history of Lufthansa Technik is fascinating and little known, but fundamental to understanding the company's current strategy. Its origins date back to 1951, even predating the formation of Lufthansa itself. West German authorities decided that before forming a new national airline, it was necessary to establish their own technical capabilities. The purpose was clear from the beginning: develop technical autonomy that would guarantee operational independence and eventually competitive advantage. In 1995, Lufthansa Technik AG was transformed into an independent company within the Aviation Group, with the specific objective of increasing competitiveness and contributing to Lufthansa's long-term strategy of becoming the world's leading provider of air transport-related services. Today, every 5 seconds an aircraft takes off somewhere in the world with Lufthansa Technik support, which has become the leading provider of maintenance, repair, overhaul, and modification services for civil aircraft. But its specialization in Boeing 747 represents a unique competence in the global market. With this historical foundation, we can now examine how this expertise translates into numbers that justify maintaining the 747. The difference between internal and outsourced maintenance on the Boeing 747 isn't marginal. It's substantial enough to completely alter the operations economic equation. With 5 decades of accumulated experience, Lufthansa has developed capabilities that simply don't exist elsewhere in the global market. Annual maintenance costs per Boeing 747-8 2024 data. Internal maintenance, Lufthansa Technik. Total annual costs, $4.0 to $4.4 million per aircraft. A and B checks, monthly, $190,000 to $230,000 per aircraft. C checks, annual, $2.2 to $2.9 million per aircraft. D checks, 6 to 8 years, $8.9 to $12.6 million per aircraft. Engine maintenance, $1.3 to $1.9 million per aircraft annually. Average downtime, 18 to 22 days per year per aircraft.
Outsourced maintenance, global market. Total annual costs, $5.5 to $7.1 million per aircraft, plus 37 to 62%. A and B checks, $295,000 to $370,000, plus 56 to 59%. C checks, $3.4 to $4.3 million, plus 52 to 46%. D checks, $15.8 to $23.1 million, plus 76 to 83%. Downtime, 28 to 35 days per year, plus 55 to 59%. Net annual savings per aircraft, $1.5 to $2.7 million. Multiplying these savings across Lufthansa's 747-8 fleet, a scenario emerges where apparent energy inefficiency is more than compensated by operational efficiency.
Lufthansa doesn't deploy its 747-8s randomly. Each route is meticulously selected to maximize the quadjet's unique advantages. Frankfurt, New York, Munich, Los Angeles, Frankfurt, Tokyo, and Frankfurt, Sao Paulo exemplify routes where three critical factors converge perfectly: exceptional demand, severe airport slot limitations, and distances that fully utilize the 9,200-mile range. At Tokyo Haneda, international slots are not only limited but extremely expensive. Some cost millions of dollars. Transporting 467 passengers in a single operation is significantly more valuable than making two flights with 250-passenger aircraft. The same reasoning applies to JFK in New York, where each slot represents pure gold in operational value terms. But there's a frequently underestimated element that Lufthansa discovered to be very valuable. An internal survey conducted by Lufthansa in 2023 revealed surprising data. 73% of economy and business class passengers consider flying on the 747 a special or iconic experience, compared to only 31% who express similar feelings about modern twin-engine aircraft. This isn't just qualitative data, it translates into willingness to pay premium prices. At airports around the world, the phenomenon is visible. Passengers spontaneously stop to photograph the unmistakable hump profile of the 747. This behavior simply does not occur with A350s or 787s, regardless of how modern they are. This emotional differentiation, combined with growing scarcity, creates a unique market dynamic that directly favors the German strategy. The global abandonment of the 747 created a paradoxical opportunity that Lufthansa was quick to recognize and exploit. In 2024, only 50 passenger 747 aircraft remain in regular passenger service, operated by 5 main companies: Lufthansa, Korean Air, Air China, Cathay Pacific, and some smaller carriers. This dramatic scarcity transformed 747 flights into almost exclusive experiences, allowing Lufthansa to implement premium pricing on traditionally competitive routes. Simultaneously, Lufthansa Technik capitalizes by serving the few remaining companies, generating additional revenue that amortizes investments in infrastructure and specialized knowledge. With 747 production ended in 2023 and Allegris modernization scheduled for completion by 2025, Lufthansa's 747-8s literally represent the last commercial quadjet aircraft in aviation history. The company plans to operate them until 2040, when the aircraft will reach approximately 20 years old, still considered young by commercial aviation standards. This timeline offers Lufthansa a 15 to 17-year window to extract maximum value from its bold bet, sufficient time to fully amortize Allegris project investments and consolidate a unique position in the luxury aviation market. In a sector obsessively focused on operational efficiency and standardization, the German company bet that there's still room for significant differentiation. When the last commercial 747 makes its final flight, probably bearing Lufthansa colors, the German company won't just be the last to close a historical chapter, it will be the guardian of an era that shaped our modern perception of intercontinental travel and global connectivity. This choice between absolute efficiency and differentiated experience defines a crucial moment for the industry. The success or failure of the German strategy will influence future decisions about innovation versus optimization, soul versus algorithms. Time will reveal whether Lufthansa was brilliant in swimming against the current or quixotic in fighting economic windmills. One certainty remains: it will be absolutely epic, representing the last conscious breath of a golden era that, once lost,
will never return to the global commercial aviation scene.